Hi guys, thank you so much for the support that you've shown with my first video. I know I have a lot of work to do, but I'm trying my best. And I just had 2 cups of coffee before this. You would think that I would be wired, but I'm actually super exhausted. So hopefully I will do this question some justice, considering it's probably the most frequently asked question that I get from other Koreans or Asians who are thinking about adopting. Even if you're not Asian, or if this does not directly apply to you, hopefully it'll just give a little bit more insight of what adoption may mean in different cultures. Yeah, I'm just gonna jump right into it. The question is, how did you tell your parents that you were going to adopt? I've been meaning to answer this question for a very long time, but haven't been able to figure out the words when I wanted to write about it. So please show me some grace as I answer this through this video, because I know I'm going to miss a lot of details, and I'll probably go back thinking like, why did I say that? Or I should have said this, because this is a very personal question, and that's why it's been so hard for me to answer. Ultimately, I don't want anyone to think bad of my family or my parents, and just know that, you know, culturally and generationally, and they just love their daughter, and this was a hard thing for them to accept when we first announced that we were adopting. But just to rewind a little, I was born and raised here in the US, but I grew up with a lot of Korean tradition and culture in my life. I spoke the language, I ate the food, and my husband, he was born and raised in Korea and immigrated here with his family when he was 20. And my mother-in-law is an extremely traditional, old school mother-in-law. My father-in-law, he passed away when my husband was younger. So, but yeah, just to give some background, but we try to ask our families for their opinions or advice when we make big decisions, such as getting married or moving or jobs even. And that's kind of how it is in Asian culture. You just want family support. You want to hear their views because your elders have more life experience, so then they tell you what they think, and going against the advice can sometimes be difficult. But my husband and I, as much as we want to get the approval and respect from our families, you know, a lot of the times the way we think is very different. So we do have a lot of like that internal struggle of back and forth of how much do we listen versus how much do we follow our own path. And it's not about not being able to make your own decisions. I will say a lot of the times we did not listen to what they said. That wasn't fun sometimes to deal with. But basically what happened with our adoption was that my husband and I decided not to tell our families until we were finished with the home study and matched with Luca officially. So I don't know if this was the right thing to do, but for us, we decided to go this route because we knew that if we asked our families, we knew the hard questions we would get, and we knew the internal struggle that we would have, because we had already decided we wanted to move forward with adoption. But if we're hearing other things about it, maybe we would be swayed, and we did not want to be swayed to adopt or not to adopt at all. We just wanted that decision to be completely ours, and we wanted to be 100% confident in whatever we decided. Yeah, we just went with it, and we could have stopped it at any point, but obviously we kept going with the decision to adopt. So when our home study paperwork was approved, that took about 2 to 3 months, and then we were officially matched. That's when we made the announcement of telling our parents and families. And you know, it's one of those things, like if you tell people like, oh, I'm thinking about naming my child, I don't know, Monster Truck. And when you say, I'm thinking about this, you'll hear this opinion and that opinion, like, oh, I love that name. Oh, I hate that name. Why would you do that? But if you go ahead and say, hey, my child's name is Monster Truck, people might think something, but it's already said and done. So you've already made your decision. it's not going to change anything whether they say this or that. And most of the times people will keep their strong opinions to themselves. So when we told our parents, it was already to the point where we were like, hey guys, we have decided we're adopting. It wasn't, we're thinking about adopting. What do you think? And we went into it very prepared that we would get hard questions and a lot of questions. And so when we told my mother-in-law, I made my husband call her, and I was just going to be in the background. And I was prepared for the worst because, again, she's very traditional. She's a lot older. But I thought she would just, I don't know. But she ended up being surprisingly very okay with the idea of us adopting. And it had a lot to do with the fact that she thought we couldn't get pregnant on our own. So we just didn't touch it. We didn't tell her that, you know, we just let her think what she wanted. And later, if we decided we would try to get pregnant, we would just be like, oh, it's a miracle, praise God, and whatnot. So that's so bad. But anyway, what was really surprising was my parents. My dad is very blasé, like he just kind of goes with the flow. So I knew he would be okay with it as long as my mom was okay with it. And I thought my mom would be the cool one with this because she is more progressive and open-minded about things. So when we told my mom, I was kind of taken aback at how hard she took it. She had known that we were thinking about getting pregnant too. So she was shocked, I guess, like this kind of came out of nowhere for her. Yeah, it was quite surprising for me, but I remember that during our home study process, we have to take a few different courses on adoption. And one of the courses that we took described this thing about grieving the unborn child. And what that means is when you're younger and you think about having kids, naturally you think about getting pregnant and having kids. It's not very natural to say like, oh, I'm gonna have a kid through adoption, or I'm gonna have a baby through adoption. And that is the case for grandparents as well, and aunts and uncles, where grandparents are thinking about their grandkids. Naturally, they don't think, oh, through adoption. They think, oh, my child is going to get pregnant and have this baby, this grandchild of mine. So the course was just saying like, because this is kind of like a new thing that's being brought to you, you need to have some time to grieve for that unborn child or that daydream that is not real at this point. So I was really appreciative of that course because it just let me know that I needed to give my mom some space and let her grieve and accept this in her own way and time without forcing it on her. And I just prayed that she would come around, and I had faith that she would because I know my mom and her heart. And I didn't know when it would happen, but again, I just had to know that this was a decision between my husband and myself that we made to raise and protect this child. And at the end of the day, it wasn't going to be my parents who were adopting, it was us. So I will say that if you really are considering adopting, you have to be 100% confident in knowing that you are the parents, you are the protectors of this child. And this goes even for biological children. You know, you are the ultimate protector. So with adoption, it's not just this one-time thing that you're going to face some hardship with advocating for your child. There will be many times that you have to stand up and say, this is my son or this is my daughter, and be proud and confident of it. It's a decision you made, you know, to bring this child into your home as a forever family. It's not a long-term decision, it's a forever decision. So know that you're going to hear different views, you're going to hear different opinions, but again, it's going to be you and your partner who are raising this child, not anyone else. In our case, I am happy to say that after giving my mom some time to let everything sink in, and again, not forcing anything on her, she came around, and I remember she had called me and said, you guys made this big decision on your own, just make sure that you're great parents to this child. And I knew at that point that my mom was ready to open her heart. And yeah, the next part of our process was we were able to share his photo, Luca's photo, with family members. Korea is a little bit more strict than other countries, and my mom just made like little remarks like, oh, he looks a lot like your husband. Oh, you know, he looks like he's very bright, and yeah, just saying stuff here and there. And then the day that she finally got to meet him in person, I mean, that was it. She was done. She was grandma, you know, and I think, oh, sorry. Luca and my mom are the best of friends. I mean, she loves him so much. Whenever we visit or she visits us, we're on 2 different coasts. But, sorry. Okay. But whenever my mom visits or we visit my parents, Luca is total grandma's boy. As soon as he wakes up in the morning, he jumps in bed and like the 2 of them just talk about the most random things. And then now, you know, we FaceTime almost daily just to say like, how was school? How was, you know, your day? And it's been amazing to see. So have faith. I mean, I'm not saying that every family comes around, but hopefully they will. And it might not happen immediately, but again, just give them some time to let them process this idea. And you know, change is hard. It's not something that comes easy. So I think this is a good thing that we're doing, or that you're considering, especially for the culture and the language around adoption. You know, there's still a long way to go, but change comes with one person and then the next person and the next. So I hope I answered this question and helped you in some way if this is something that you've been struggling with. It's so hard because I know I'm missing a lot of stuff that I want to say as well. So again, feel free to reach out to me or comment for me to elaborate. You wonder what I meant about one thing or something else. So I wish you all the best in your journey, whether that means you are adopting or not. But yeah, I think you can do it. So yeah, sending you all the support, all the support.